City to Crystal Palace. Roy Hodgson is back in the Premier League. Here he is.
People know me and they know how I like to work, and I know so many of them, so it's not like when you sometimes come into a new club where you're working very hard to remember the names of the people around you.
But, you know, it is in your blood though, isn't it? We never really talked about retirement when you were here before. Would it have been Palace only, or would you have maybe considered other roles as the season went on?
Well, it's a very good question. I mean, I don't know how you answer it honestly. I've accepted that I've retired, as it were, because that's what everyone's been saying. And if I walk down the street, people say to me, "Are you enjoying your retirement?" But at the same time, I've never really felt old enough to retire, if the truth's known. I mean, I know that I am. I know my birth certificate tells me I am, but the way I feel doesn't really tell me that. So I suppose there's always been an opening there for a project such as this one, whereby I know very clearly what the project is, what the objective is, why I'm there, and what's expected of me. Who knows? You know, there might be another one of them that comes up. But the thing is, I don't actively seek them. That's the thing. No one is out there on my behalf looking for these things. On both occasions, it's come my way, and I've had the choice: do I accept or do I not accept? And on both occasions, I've accepted.
If it goes well, would you consider next season, or are you just purely focusing on the now?
I'm purely focusing on the now. There was no discussion about that at all. I don't know what Crystal Palace's plans are going forward. Knowing Steve and the owners as well as I do, I'm sure they've got ideas and got plans going forward. They've asked myself and Ray to do a very specific job. Work with this group of players and try to make certain that at the end of the season we are still a Premiership team, and I like it that way.
When I look at the Palace squad and you look at them now, I mean, you were really enjoying it out there. Have some of the players maybe forgotten just how good they are in terms of the attacking, the goals, you know?
That's a very good question, and I'd like to think that's the case. It's so easy to lose confidence. It's so easy to let the black dog take over to some extent and make you doubt all the things that you think you were good at doing. And really, our main task, as I see it, having taken over a group which is clearly stronger, certainly technically, than the one we left behind 2 years ago, is to make certain those players don't lose faith. They don't start thinking that we aren't capable, because as Palace showed in particular last season and even in the early part of this season, they are a good team, and they can win games, and that they can produce good football. So we've got to get back to that somehow. But it's easy to say these things. It's an easy what's the right word? Subject to wax lyrical about, but it's another thing trying to get that to happen and get those performances on the field.
Two more quick ones from me. It's obviously always a bit about when managerial changes, the fans. Have you got a message for them? I've got good feelings, to be a good atmosphere on Saturday.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that it's a two-way process. We've always had good fans here. For as long as I can remember, and certainly during my 4 years here, the fans were a vital part of any sort of success that we had. And we knew we could count on them. We knew we had such loyal support, and it was a fervent support as well. So you knew that they had your back in some way. But of course, to get that type of support, we've got to give them something to feel that it's worthy of getting behind. So we must take that responsibility. We've got to make certain that on Saturday they see a team that is every bit as committed, every bit as anxious to do well as they, the fans, are anxious for us to do well. But I am absolutely convinced that we will get a lot of help from them in these last 5 home games and even the away games. So they are very much a weapon that I can't control, but at the same time I'm really hoping that they will help us on our way.
Very finally, you're here a long time. Was there anything you'd left at the training ground or any of the offices?
No, I don't think so, no. There's a load of books there, but I think they came from Alan Pardew, really. So I've left them there. You might want them back one day.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks, Roy.
Okay, thank you. Seb from PLP.
Hi, Roy.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Things didn't quite go to plan with Watford last season.
Very true.
Despite your lengthy and experienced career, did you learn anything from that time at Watford?
Well, you do always learn, of course, everyone knows that, but I'm afraid bad experiences or unpleasant experiences like going to try and save a club from relegation and then not succeeding, that scars more than teaches you. There's no question of that. But I've just got to try and make certain there that it doesn't happen again, because I know what a very painful and unpleasant experience it is for everyone, not least of all the fans of the club, the owners of the club, the players in the club, and all the coaching staff. It affects an awful lot of people. So, if anything, I'm determined here not to let that happen again. But if someone says to me, well, give us a guarantee, I'll say to them, this is football. There are no guarantees. We're in a fight. We're in a dog fight. We've got a slight advantage, but not a very big one. But we've got to make certain we do everything we can out there on the training field to prepare the team, and then they on the match day to win matches. And certainly I won't be thinking very much about that experience at Watford. I've had to put that behind me and concentrate fully on this one.
You say you've got a bit of a margin, but you're 12. Have you ever been in such a tight battle for relegation, with so many teams being able to go down from today?
No, I think this season's exceptional in that respect. You don't normally have almost a whole bottom section of the table all fighting to avoid relegation, and you certainly don't see so many teams which most people would say they can't get relegated, they're too big a club to get relegated. So I think that's unusual in that respect this year. So we go into the last 10 games with a very exciting scenario at both ends, because we still aren't 100% certain who the champion's going to be and who the top four are going to be. So there's an awful lot to play for in these last 10 games. But I've got to say, as far as I'm concerned, the only games that will really interest me are the ones that we play, and maybe watching the games that our opponents play to get some idea of how good or they are.